Here's something that's going to sound almost too simple to be true. Walking. Just regular walking. Not running marathons. Not doing CrossFit. Not spending hours at the gym. Just putting one foot in front of the other every single day. And yet, the science behind what this does to your body is absolutely incredible. I'm talking about real, measurable changes that happen at the cellular level. Changes to your brain, your heart, your bones, even your DNA. And the best part? You don't need any equipment. You don't need a gym membership, and you can start right now, regardless of your current fitness level. So today, we're breaking down exactly what happens to your body when you commit to walking every day, and I'm going to show you the research that proves why this might be the most underrated health habit out there. Cardiovascular transformation. Let's start with your heart, because this is where walking really shines. Within just the first few weeks of daily walking, your cardiovascular system starts to transform in ways that are frankly remarkable. A landmark study published in the New England Journal of Medicine followed over 73,000 women for 8 years. What they found was that women who walked at least 3 hours per week had a 35% lower risk of heart attack and cardiac death compared to those who didn't walk regularly. But here's what's even more interesting. The benefits kicked in at just 30 minutes a day. When you walk, your heart rate increases, which means your heart muscle is working harder and getting stronger. Think of it like doing bicep curls, but for your heart. Over time, this training effect means your heart becomes more efficient. It can pump more blood with each beat, which is why regular walkers often have lower resting heart rates. A study from the American College of Cardiology found that people who walked daily reduced their resting heart rate by an average of 5 to 8 beats per minute within 3 months. That might not sound like much, but it's actually a significant marker of cardiovascular fitness. And then there's blood pressure. Research from Hypertension, the Journal of the American Heart Association, showed that walking for just 30 minutes a day lowered systolic blood pressure by an average of 4 to 11 points. For some people, that's the difference between needing medication and managing their blood pressure through lifestyle alone. Brain health and cognitive function. Now here's where things get really fascinating. What walking does to your brain. And I'm not just talking about mental health, though we'll get to that. I'm talking about actual structural changes in your brain tissue. Neuroscientists at the University of Illinois used MRI scans to study the brains of older adults who started a walking program. After just 6 months of walking 40 minutes 3 times per week, they found increased volume in the hippocampus. That's the part of your brain responsible for memory and learning. We're talking about actual brain growth in adults, which for a long time scientists thought wasn't possible. But it gets even better. Walking increases blood flow to the brain by about 15%. According to research from the University of Texas Southwestern Medical Center, this increased blood flow delivers more oxygen and nutrients to brain cells, and it also triggers the release of something called brain-derived neurotrophic factor, or BDNF. Think of BDNF as fertilizer for your brain. It promotes the growth of new neurons and strengthens existing connections. A comprehensive study involving over 299,000 people found that those who walked regularly had a 31% lower risk of developing dementia later in life. That's nearly a third reduction in risk from something as simple as walking. The researchers concluded that walking was one of the most effective interventions for preserving cognitive function as we age. Metabolic changes. Let's talk about what's happening with your metabolism and blood sugar, because this is crucial for millions of people dealing with diabetes and prediabetes worldwide. When you walk, especially after eating, something really important happens. Your muscles start pulling glucose out of your bloodstream to use as fuel. A study published in Diabetes Care had participants walk for just 15 minutes after each meal. The results? Their blood sugar levels were 22% lower compared to days when they didn't walk. That's a massive difference, and it happened with just 45 minutes of total walking spread throughout the day. And if you're enjoying this breakdown of the science, go ahead and hit that like button. It tells me you want more evidence-based content, and it helps other people discover this information too. But the metabolic benefits go beyond just blood sugar. Walking also improves insulin sensitivity, which is basically how effectively your cells respond to insulin. Research from the Journal of Applied Physiology showed that regular walking improved insulin sensitivity by up to 25% in previously sedentary adults. This is huge because insulin resistance is at the root of type 2 diabetes and contributes to weight gain, inflammation, and cardiovascular disease. And speaking of weight, Let's be real about this. Walking alone isn't going to give you a six-pack or make you drop 50 pounds overnight. But here's what the data actually shows. A study in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition found that people who walked 10,000 steps per day burned an additional 300 to 500 calories compared to sedentary days. Over time, that adds up. More importantly, walking helps preserve lean muscle mass during weight loss, unlike crash dieting, which often causes muscle loss along with fat. Musculoskeletal benefits. Now let's talk about your bones and joints, because there's a huge misconception that walking is bad for your joints. The research actually shows the opposite. Walking is what's called a weight-bearing exercise, which means it puts healthy stress on your bones. This stress signals your body to maintain and even build bone density. A study from the American Journal of Medicine tracked postmenopausal women and found that those who walked 4 hours per week had a 41% lower risk of hip fractures compared to those who walked less than 1 hour per week. This is critical because bone density naturally decreases with age, especially in women after menopause. As for your joints, particularly your knees, the research is clear. A study published in Arthritis Care and Research followed people with knee osteoarthritis and found that those who walked regularly actually had less cartilage loss and less pain than those who were sedentary. Walking helps lubricate your joints by promoting the circulation of synovial fluid, which is basically your joint's natural oil. It also strengthens the muscles around your joints, providing better support and stability. Immune system and longevity. Here's something that became especially relevant in recent years. Walking's impact on your immune system. Researchers at Appalachian State University studied over 1,000 adults during cold and flu season. They found that those who walked at least 20 minutes a day, 5 days a week, had 43% fewer sick days than those who were sedentary. And when the walkers did get sick, their symptoms were significantly milder. The mechanism behind this involves your white blood cells. Moderate exercise, like walking temporarily, increases the circulation of immune cells throughout your body, helping them detect and fight off pathogens more effectively. And perhaps most compelling of all is the research on longevity. A massive study published in The Lancet analyzed data from over 130,000 people across 17 countries. They found that just 30 minutes of walking 5 days a week was associated with a 28% reduction in all-cause mortality. That means a 28% lower risk of dying from any cause during the study period. When researchers looked at people who walked more, around 60 minutes a day, the risk reduction went up to 35%. Mental health. Before we wrap up, I have to mention what walking does for your mental health, because this might be the most immediately noticeable benefit. When you walk, your body releases endorphins, serotonin, and dopamine, your natural mood-boosting chemicals. A meta-analysis published in JAMA Psychiatry reviewed 15 studies involving over 190,000 participants and concluded that regular walking reduced the risk of depression by 26%. For people already dealing with depression or anxiety, walking has been shown to be as effective as medication for mild to moderate cases. We're talking about a legitimate, research-backed intervention for mental health. So here's what actually happens when you walk every day. Your heart gets stronger and more efficient. Your brain literally grows and becomes more resistant to cognitive decline. Your metabolism improves, your blood sugar stabilizes, your bones get denser, your joints get healthier, your immune system strengthens, and you live longer. Not to mention you feel better mentally and emotionally. The science isn't just strong here, it's overwhelming. 30 minutes a day. That's it. You can break it into 3 10-minute walks if that's easier. You don't need perfect form, fancy shoes, or a specific route. Just walk. If this video opened your eyes to what walking can actually do for you, make sure you subscribe to the channel and hit that notification bell. I've got more videos coming on. Simple, science-backed habits that actually make a difference in your health. Now get out there and take a walk. Your body will thank you.